Okay, so welcome again to Kerbal Space Program, and we are going to talk about mods. This is my first video, so if I do a little bit too bad, and then sorry. Okay, so we are going to talk about the Outer Planets mod. Here, you can see that I downloaded it here with the real solar system counterparts, but Kerbal version. Originally, the Kerbal system's EU is around the orbit of this planet here. It's called Sanus, and if I say it wrong, then I apologize. Well, this Outer Planets mod is a popular mod for years, so that I always wanted to try it. Well, it isn't out of our solar system, but don't care the collaborative mod, which is the backcool mod that I also installed and will be talked in a later video. Okay, so we still have Moho, Eve, or Kerbin, Duna, Dress, Jew, and Sanus. Well, not Sanus, oops. Well, one of the major changes you can see here is that EU is gone. Yep, because EU is the Pluto counterpart and located at Geo, which is Jupiter's counterpart, so that they removed Pluto and well, they removed EU and replaced it with Block. We'll talk about that a little bit later. At our first planet is Sanus, as you might see with the order. Kerbin is Earth, Duna is, as you know, Mars, then Dres is Ceres, then Ju is Jupiter, and many people know that. Sanus is definitely Saturn, and it has again 5 moons there. It's very beautiful with this color, and if you might suspect it, it's pretty beautiful, aren't it? Well, I got a vehicle called Tucson, a lame name, and I spelled it wrong, which we'll see that later. Well, you can see its most iconic features is that it is has a massive ring, and I am a ring lover as I really love rings, and it also has that pink and red color hue. Well, Sanus is around 5,300 kilometers at radius. For comparison, Joule is about 6,000 kilometers, which it is actually pretty similar to it. And it and for the info, if you can see it, that early astronomers believe Sanus was in fact multiple planets closely orbiting together, and the reason for it is because, as you can see, it's a massive rings. They mistaken it for multiple planets and said that it's a lobed body, which isn't a discussion. And when they cleaned their telescopes, they realized that those extra planets were in fact thin rings orbiting Sanus, and a regular cleaning of telescope lenses became mandatory after that, which is some junk that we don't know. And as this might suggest that Kerbal astronomers and Kerbals themselves are actually pretty stupid, which Sanus has 5 moons, which is just like a Jew. Well, we have this, another, that's not a moon, that's a black hole, because I installed the collaborative mod, so there it is in the future video. And our first moon is called Hale. Hale is a small moonet which is orbiting inside of Sanus rings, and that gives you a very beautiful view of Sanus itself. And actually, it has some from Kerbal mythology. It is a female shepherd from the mythology and the lore that saved the galaxy from certain destruction, and it is also having it is also the smallest moon or Sanus, I think, because it's about just 6 kilometers in radius, making it the smallest. And also, as you might know, shepherd is the person who take care of sheep and herd them. And in this case, there's actually a thing for a shepherd version of the ring. Well, I forgot the name, but I know there is. So I think that might be a little backstory for why they named it Hail. And just outside the ring, we have Ufuk. Well, Ufuk is a little lumpy egg-shaped object at 26 kilometers at radius, not exactly the biggest. And its SOI is actually pretty small too. Well, it actually looked egg-shaped, making it one of the most special places to visit in Kerbal's program, and also the unusual to orbit thing, since the egg-shaped loam I suggest is just a huge mountain out of balance, but I just don't know. Maybe for future comments. And still, it has a beautiful view of the rings and Sanus itself due to the close proximity. The reason for the X shape is caused by the tidal force exerted by Sanus and Ufuk itself's gravity. This has led the scientists to believe the moon must consist of an icy fluff that easily contracts and expands, resulting in a landscape that is free of deep impact craters. The moon is named for Ufuk, a mythological beast known for its sulfur and razor-like claws. Which, for the third moon, is Elu. Pretty surprising, huh? Elu is supposed to be the seventh planet or the second dwarf planet for Kerbal Space Program, and because of the Outer Planets mod, Elu now became a moon of Sanus because of Enodus, which is the small icy moon around 200 kilometers at radius, which some of you might know from other stuff like books. And because of that, and Elu wasn't useful for it to stick around the orbit around Kerbal, so they moved it here. And they also changed the info area. Well, its parameters is still the same size, the same things, but the only major difference is this SOI, which is much smaller than it usually should be. And Elu is discovered at the same time as Plok, which is the Pluto counterpart in KSP OPM, which is Outer Planets mod. The square heads in charge, which are the boss, I guess, in charge of cataloging the astronomical discoveries, mix up the records of Elu and Plok, leading to years of one being confused for the others. And Elu is now changed its look a little bit, as it is still covered by its iconic brown scratches, which is a result of cryogenic activity. That might mean the moon harbors a liquid ocean beneath its frozen crust. And one small difference to the original Elu, the gorges and rallies are much smaller, and it has a lot of impact craters too, like those dots. And that's also a big change to Elu itself. And then we are going to move to Slate. Well, so Slate is a pretty mountainous moon at around 540 kilometers at radius, which is slightly larger than Lathe but still smaller than Tylo. Well, it has an enormous SOI at 9,598 kilometers due to its distance with the other moons, such as Io and Teklo, which is Titan apparently. Its distance gave it a large SOI and also much easier to reach. And actually, its SOI is actually the same size as Moho, which you know is Mercury, which is also 9,500 kilometers. The SOI is still the same. And if you can see here at the info panel, evidence suggests that Slate had an atmosphere only a few million years ago until an unknown diaster stripped the atmosphere away, leaving only the dry husk behind. Its yellow and brown colors have inspired many painters since its discovery, including the renowned Vincent van Kerman, which has a bit strange name and seems a lot like some of the people we know today. And as you can see, it has vast mountain ridges and also the brightly colored land and the lack of asteroid craters and all those evidence that might suggest is that the yellow part, like these, the valleys have once been the oceans, and those are the mountain ridges, and maybe those craters are just something that you can see normally, like in Leaf, that you can still see some crater ridges there, but now it became a dry and barren land for you to explore. And this time, Teklo is the exact opposite. It is Titan, apparently. Well, it has a very, very thick atmosphere, which is at 95 kilometers in height. For reference, Kerbin's atmosphere is 70 kilometers in height, and Eve, which is Venus' atmosphere, is 90 kilometers in height, making this has the highest atmosphere unless you do count the gas giants. Well, and it's actually pretty small at 280 kilometers at radius, even making it even smaller than Duna, and such a small planet, or should I say moon, have such a massive atmosphere is actually quite rare, and we still don't know how could it keep such a huge atmosphere. And that it has seas of methane, and as you can see here, this moon has very, very dense atmosphere for its body this size. Combined with the low gravity, this meant that Kerbal with wings attached to his or her arms could live off the surface of the moon under his or her own power. Those wings would have to be made of some sturdy materials too, as Techno's atmosphere appears to be very violent, and that can explain because of it extremely dense, and you can easily fly on it. Well, it has seas made of methane, I think, and some standard ridges. There's still some cool biomes. And now, after we checked on Teklo, it's time to move on to the next system, which is Iridium. Iridium is the Uranus counterpart for it, and it is the most special planet of it, which is Parallax and Polita. Both moons orbit in the same orbital area, which is two moons orbiting in the same orbital plane. And then it has Val. Don't mind if I say it wrong. And this is a moon, but it has its own moon, Pi. A moon of a moon. Very strange indeed. We'll come to these later. Okay. So back here, we're focusing real back again to this gas giant. And well, this time it is 2,177 kilometers at radius, which is around half the radius for Sanus, which is actually the same for our real life counterparts. And it just looks like Uranus with slightly more bands and not that boring. Well, it took a while for Kerbal astronomers to realize William was not a faraway star, but in fact another planet. Since then, scientists have been wary of making claims about William for fear of being wrong yet again. The ice giant is unusual that it rotates around its axis in its clockwise fashion, unlike the anti-clockwise wave rotation of the other planets. So strange. Well, but other words, it's just basically a miniature version of Uranus with more shiny bands, and it still has some thin rings extending out to the orbit of Polita and Parallax. We are going to talk about those now, and here we have Polita. Polita is around 220 kilometers at radius, making it slightly larger than the Moon, and it has no atmosphere and a pretty standard moon, but it is having a mint colored appearance, which is really cool, honestly. It immediately reminded astronomers of Mimas, but that it was quickly realized that it's still in orbit of Kerbal and thus had to be another body. Polita's surface is made of smooth and swirling terrain forms, most likely a result of tidal heating caused by nearby William, and is a larger sibling of the duo, which is Parallax, the smaller one, which it shares the orbit of its larger cousin Polita, making it a co-orbital configuration. This strange orbit is stable because Parallax is located in the libration point of the larger Polita. Parallax is also characterized by its heavily cratered surface, which makes it sort of resemble lump of cheese. Whether the surface is edible has yet to be confirmed, and is smaller at 74 kilometers. For comparison, Bob, which is Jules' moon, is 75 kilometers at radius, making it larger than Mimas, and a pretty small SOI too, which actually the language point, I don't know how to say, the liberation point of the larger Polita is actually real, because in real life Saturn and Uranus do have these sort of moons in a co-orbital configuration, which Saturn has 4 and Uranus has 2, and Jupiter and Neptune doesn't have any. But systems like these are usually the larger sibling in front of the smaller one, which is usually in this configuration. And then let's move to Va. Va, if I say it wrong, then I apologize again. Is instantly recognizable due to its walnut-like shape. Its multicolored surface has led it to it winning the title Most Beautiful Moon of the Year 2 years in a row. Its distinctive equatorial ridge is likely to be caused by tidal forces created by whilst moon tie. Is that the moon over there? And here's 370 kilometers at radius, making it slightly larger than Duna, which is a large-sized moon, but not to that scale of Leif and Tylo, or that of Slate, and it actually really looks like a walnut too, and its moon Tie. Tie is what astronomers call a sub-satellite, while generally these moons are impossible due to two small spheres of influence, while its distant orbit from the ice giant Uranium allowed Tie to maintain a stable orbit. Tie's albedo indicates it is composed of metals, ice, or both, which albedo means that it is slightly white, I guess. Here is 22 kilometers at radius and has 140 kilometers of SOI, which Tie's SOI is actually pretty large in comparison, allowing to keep this moon. Okay, we have finished the Uranium system, and now to Newton. Newton is the Neptune analog for the protoplasma of KSP and has two moons, Nisi and Fatmo. Well, it has only two moons, the amount of Kerbal, and it is due to its distance from Kerbal. It wasn't until fairly recently that Kerbal discovered Kerbal system's most distant planet. At first, scientists thought Newton might be a purple rocky planet like Eve, but they quickly realized they were in fact looking at an ice giant similar to Uranium, which is slightly smaller than Uranium at 2,145 kilometers, which Uranium is 2,177 kilometers, making the difference very tiny. And it also has a pretty large SOI too. Actually double the size of Uranium because of a strange reason, which I don't know. And then let's check out its first moon, Fatmo. Both moons of Uranium is actually pretty far away from both moons of Newton, are pretty far from Newton itself, because we still don't loaded any of the small moons. They haven't created it yet, and it's 286 kilometers at radius, making it just 6 kilometers larger than Teklo, and its SOI is 5,070.09 kilometers. And actually, you might not guess it, it does have an atmosphere, which you can't tell from the surface. It's just only 335,000 meters in height and is 0.01 out ATM, which for comparison, Duna is around 0.2 ATM, which 0.7, maybe I got it wrong, but it's something like this. This icy moon was found to have a very thin atmosphere, just thick enough to support aerodynamic flight. It has been the #1 destination on every Daredevil's aviary bucket list ever since. Oh, and it rotates in the opposite direction around the planet as every other moon. Quite the strange moon indeed. And it also has some icy features and some small gorges. This is the first and largest moon of Newton, and then we reach out to the second moon. The second moon is Nisi, and as you can tell from this relationship, This sea is actually really huge. Not the size, but very far away from Newton is a small moon in a highly inclined and eccentric orbit around Newton. Its surface looks strangely similar to marble. As a result, it has become the envy of every sculpture on Kerbal, and its 30 kilometers at radius, meaning it's half the size of Mimas, and its SOI is actually pretty large indeed. And well, as you can tell from enormous size, when you stand here, you can't actually even see Newton, and oh, there it is, so far away. And we still haven't reached to its apoapsis point, which is over there. And I've calculated it that its apoapsis is, for comparison, if Newton is due, then pole will probably reach around here for pole, which means it's double the distance of pole, but its closest part can be nearly as close as tidal if compared for Joule. And for comparison, its another moon, Fatmo, we just talked about, is around here, making it over 7 times the size of Fatmo's distance to Newton, and that's the end. And oh, Plock's here. I almost forgot about it. And well, also Newton's moon, Nissy, is the farthest moon from every planet, and due to its small size, it's also easy to calculate it. And here it is, Plock and its moon, Karen. There's been a considerable amount of concerning status of Plock as being a proper planet, or just a lump of ice going around the sun, or should I say Kerbal. The debate is still ongoing, as most academic summits held to address the issue have evolved into, on good days, petty name calling, and on worse ones, all out brawls. And it is 189 kilometers at radius, making it slightly smaller than the Moon, and in fact, the smallest object to have a moon, since Y is about 370 kilometers at radius, making it double the size of Plock itself, and it's a pretty large SOI for itself. No atmosphere, and that's Karen. Is a moon of Plock, but at the same time also kind of isn't, due to their relative masses. The two bodies dance around each other in a way that is like no other two bodies at the solar system. And actually, if you download a realistic gravity like that mod, then you can actually see both of them dancing around, and Plock should be opening like this, which is at 85 kilometers at radius, making it half the size of Plock itself. And here we go, we've finished the system, and still we have some wheels around. And let's go back and take a view of our own home, Kerbal. We have some views to do. We are back here. Whoa. Okay, so that we are back to the master spaceship, and we are going to have hyperdrive, which is just a cheat here. You can get it from out and pressing F12 at the same time, which you have set orbit, and you have Kerbal, the height, that's orbit height, and draw. I actually set the orbit myself because it's so hard to get. And let's go to wherever you see. Let's go to Hale and orbit this too high. Let's set 10 kilometers. Set it. Boom. Hyperdrive successful. We have reached to Hale, which is a moon of sadness, and the view is actually pretty well. And the hangar is actually open. And well, we are at orbit at 4.5 meters per second. Extraordinary. We are super slow. As you can see, even the things are moving very fast. And well, Hill is just a little lump of rock orbiting around Sarnes, and this is actually a pretty beautiful view. We're going to wait till we get to Apparatus Point. Which this extremely annoying phenomenon means that it's very hard to get to the orbit area. Bro. We're gonna just time up normal as we're orbiting around at 4.5 meters per second, so that actually I tried to get a good shot of it, but it's actually pretty hard since we are moving so slow to Hale itself, which we're back there again. Wow, a beautiful shot, and you can just get this during it. Well, we don't meet that other thing. This is actually pretty beautiful. You can see it having Hale, Sarnes rings, and Sarnes itself in the view, and it's actually pretty close. And wow, you can actually see slate here since it's so large. And still, we are going to get hyperdrive again and try to set things back again, and we are going to get the entire tag back. Yep, we are back online, and we are going to have this. We are going to leave from Hale, and we are going to head to Ovuk. This the moon orbit 2000 because I'm pretty scared. Set orbit, and boom. It's actually pretty hard to know how are we orbiting, but still we have Ovuk here in the distance. It's actually pretty, right? And still pretty close to it. And we're moving slightly faster this time, and a pretty boring place to go. We are going to head over to Ilium, Polita, or set orbit, which we are here That's so strange. Something's wrong. I set 500 and bro. That's so strange. This glitch here, but still we got the view of the icy giant. And let's move to Newton. I'm guessing like this. Let's try. Set orbit. And we are done. We are pretty close to Newton itself. And we can see the strange band from here, which two of its moons aren't visible due to their small sizes and great proximities. And I don't really know what could I continue to see more, as maybe you could continue to see that of Plock, but the video has already been pretty long. So thanks for watching, and if you want to see other mod watches and some DLC talks about them, then be sure to watch them and like and subscribe. I'll see you again.